What's on, where, and when. It's the Talk of Nelson. NBS Talk Nelson.
When I think about banking for life, I'm thinking about Shona and I'm thinking about our boys, and I'm thinking about our grandchildren and the support that they're providing them at their stage in their lives. And the NBS certainly is serious about that.
The Mako Rugby Roundup.
Welcome to the Mako Rugby Roundup back at the Turf Hotel. Thanks to Stan and the team. Welcome back, Les. Nice to have you here.
Lovely to be here, Chris.
Beautiful day, another beautiful day. It's definitely getting chillier in the mornings and nights, so we're definitely starting to get into the winter season. Haven't got a guest this week. We're going to, don't forget, if you want to be involved in the podcast, let us know, get in touch, but we're hoping to catch up with one or two in the coming weeks, just before we get into the Mako season. So still plenty on though, and we're going to get straight into the Stuff Tasman Trophy, and it's the women's senior rugby, and it was the Billy Guyton Challenge Shield. Is that so? Would this be the first time it's been challenged?
Yeah, Estelle Uren talked about it last week. So it is a challenge trophy for like a Ramphele Shield, and the same as the John Goodman Challenge Trophy for the men. So the holder defends it at home in the regular season. So Kahurangi won it at their opening festival 2 weeks ago and had their first defence against Marist, and they prevailed quite easily in the end by 65 points to 10 over the defending premiers, Chris. Kahurangi would have been pretty pleased about that.
Yeah, well, there was signs of it at the 10s, wasn't there, that perhaps they were a pretty good side, but and you suggested perhaps Marist women are rebuilding a bit this year? Or?
Oh, we definitely are. There are some returning players, of course, but a lot of kids that our coach Cyril Collier needs to, just bring up to speed in the game of 15s and just the contact that's involved. So they're young kids, but they're enjoying the team environment. But very good side, this Kahurangi team, and they'll continue to play well all year.
The other fixture was Moteri women, 27 against Waimea women, 40. That was at Aurua Park. So Waimea women doing the business, looking strong, but geez, quite a high-scoring game, and great to see the Moteri women, putting a good amount of points on the scoreboard.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know too much about this game. However, Waimea will be very pleased with that scoreline and getting a trip over the hill and playing them at Spring Creek and getting that sort of win will be a great start to the year.
It's always a good trip back, isn't it?
Yes,
regardless of result.
Absolutely. A couple of nice venues on the way home.
That's right. Okay, so let's turn our attention to this Saturday, and this will be a good match. Waimea women taking on Kahurangi women at Jubilee Park.
Yeah, both of these games are very interesting. So this one, because it's top of the table, the two undefeated sides, Waimea at Jubilee hosting the Kahurangi women. It'll be a fascinating game, no doubt about that. And that's on at 1:15 on the number one field. So get along. Get along to Richmond, Jubilee Park, and have a look at these two excellent women's teams.
Be hard to call that one, actually. Marist women taking on Moteri women, so potentially another quite even game.
Yeah, and this is being played at Tahunanui playing fields, also at 1:15. So Moteri are coming over. I've been in touch with their coach, Luke Scott, and he's indicated that they're looking forward to the game and then an after-match function back at the Marist Club Room. So, the two defeated sides from the opening weekend, it'd be very hard to predict how this one would go. So another good contest.
It'll start to shape potentially what that table might start looking like as they head towards the rest of the season. Senior men's rugby, Stuff Tasman Trophy, and some results. And Marist 43, bouncing back, Kahurangi 29. That was at Sports Park Motueka. Kahurangi actually getting a good win last weekend. Suggestion that perhaps some of the stocks were boosted, but Marist jumping back on the horse.
Yeah, and very pleasing to do so. A couple of key players came back. Our prop Tausami came back, and also our first five Cooper Grant was home after being down training with the Highlanders. So he was our coach, Nick Smith, thought he was just outstanding in the way he led the team around the park. A couple other standouts, Joseph Dominy played very well for us, and Luke Hilworth at fullback continues to shine. So it was a good win for us for Kahurangi. They opened the scoring and they ended the scoring. It was just the middle pit that got away from them. So all in all, I think just a terrific day for the fans to get out there. There was a good crowd and the weather was superb.
Fantastic. Waimea Old Boys 40 over Stoke. It was at Green Meadows. Stoke put 31 points on the board, so it wasn't one-way traffic. And they probably lately have been struggling a little bit. So although they didn't get the win, they'd probably be heartened by the fact that they put that many points on Waimea.
Yeah, I agree with that sentiment totally. I thought they would be beaten, but they were right in this. And in fact, we were looking at the score updates, and it's at one point there, it looked like a Stoke upset over Waimea might be on the cards, but Waimea came back and a good win for them.
Nelson not able to get a third win in a row, taking on Central, who just now proves, okay, you say we can't travel. Yes, we can.
Yes.
And they came over in 45-26, so a good game, lots of points at Trafalgar Park. So, yeah, Nelson just getting a bit of a check of reality there against potentially, a top-class side.
Correct. The John Goodman Trophy was on the line, so Nelson had everything to play for, but look, Central was so well organised. They are a good team. Their line-out functions well. Their line-out rolling maul functions well. Quinton McDonald always continues to gain metres. He's a talisman for them. And their midfield was quite stunning, being fed very well by a young first 5'8". So all in all, it was a pretty accomplished performance by Central. And so that leads into an interesting clash this weekend with the John Goodman Trophy on the line in Blenheim against a visiting Marist team.
Yeah, that's right. Well, why don't we talk about that now? Because it is at Lansdowne Park. Are they 3 o'clock kickoffs?
Yeah, they are.
Yep. And Central have had a couple of games away, so they'll be looking forward to their home pitch. And this will be a good test, won't it? Because, you had one upset. You have been travelling pretty well. So Marist are sitting at top of the table, but you have to take them on at home.
Yeah, so I firmly believe that Central is a very strong side at Lansdowne Park, and I sort of think that they would have in their pre-season planning around where they'll be on the table, that they'd have ticked off 5 home ground wins. So Marist will have to be at their very best, I think, to beat Central at home. I'm not going to predict it, but definitely that will be a close encounter, and the crowd at Lansdowne Park will be strongly behind their Central lads.
I can see nice reverse psychology there, putting the pressure on Central.
Why not? Why not, Chris? Isn't that the way it's played? We're the underdogs, Chris.
It's all for them to play for them to win. Okay, Waimea Old Boys taking on Kahurangi at Jubilee Park, and on paper you would have to say Waimea would be too strong.
Yeah, on paper you would say that. So, the women are playing at home before this game.
It'd be a good occasion.
Yeah, so it'll be a great occasion, and I agree with what you're saying. I think Kahurangi will have to be on their very best behaviour to get over Waimea Old Boys.
Now, this will be a good game.
Yeah.
Again, just on early form, although Nelson have had a couple of good results. They are playing at home. They are at Trafalgar Park. They're taking on Stoke, who had plenty of points in them last week. Nelson was surging ahead, but then, against the Central side, they had a bit of a tip up. So it's going to be very interesting to see whether, was that just a couple of games they're in form, or are they really building to something? And is Stoke on the comeback?
Yeah, so I think that if you live in town, Trafalgar Park would be a great place to be to watch this game. I think Nelson had a very good game against Marist. Stoke have had a couple of, a decent win. But it is 2 of the lower I think it's 4 versus 5, this fixture. So too close for me to call, and I've got mates in both outfits, so I won't. But you certainly can, Chris.
Well, geez, I mean, probably, I don't know what happened against Central, but you'd have to go for Nelson at home because, yeah, the 2 prior weeks they were building. It looked as though they were building something special. But geez, yeah, hard one because you just never know if, that wasn't a bad result against Waimea. Stoke did put plenty of points on, so who knows? Yeah. It's becoming very interesting. I guess the thing I'm noticing at the moment is that things are evening up a bit, but Marist did get that head start, and that proves on the table it does pay to have a good start to the season, because now, even if you're mid-season but starting to get a few results, it takes a while to catch up.
Yeah, I think Marist would have been very pleased if they were told at the beginning of the campaign they'd have 4 wins out of 5 in the first round. So, and similarly, Waimea Old Boys be very pleased to be sitting at the top of the table. So, yeah, lots to play for over the next 5 rounds. So the competition is a good one.
Yeah,
I think, at any point, any team can tip over the other, and it just depends on, who you've got available and, the top 2 inches.
Yeah. The feature match result last week in the Car Company Division 2, we featured Murchison taking on Marist. Marist travelled down to Murchison, but it was a little bit one-way traffic, wasn't it? So would have been a good social occasion, but the rugby was all Marist 50-7.
Yes, that's a big win, and Murchison will be a bit disappointed in the result. But as always, they did put on an excellent after-match function, and our boys enjoyed the bus trip there and back. So it was a quality game.
Our featured match this week, we go back into the Motor World Marlborough Senior A. It's on Saturday, 2:00 kickoff. It's Awatere Senior A versus Waitohi Senior A, and that's at the Seddon Domain.
Yeah, so Seddon Domain's a great place to go and visit. The Tussock Jumpers' home ground. But this game features the 2 teams at the top of the table, and interestingly, they've had 1 game each. So I think they must have had a bye each, perhaps. But it is top of the table, and so that'll be an interesting game. It's certainly going to help set the scene in terms, as with the women, the pecking order in the comp.
Yeah, I had no idea. I couldn't pick it. We'll say Awatere at home.
Maybe. Should we say that? I agree.
Yeah, that's right. College rugby, and it's the Miles Toyota First 15 Boys Championship and Premiership. The results from last week: Waimea combined beating Hurumaka combined 26-12. That was at Waimea College. And then we had Nelson College, quite convincing, weren't they? 43 over Selwyn 12. That was at Nelson College. So Marlborough Boys College 48 over Rangiora High School. 48-3.
Yeah, big round of applause for our 3 colleges, all with wins. And that's a great way to start a first 15 competition.
Absolutely. And let's look at the fixtures coming up this weekend. Marlborough Boys taking on Shirley Boys. That is at Marlborough Boys. 12:00 kickoff on Friday.
Friday game.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's in front of the kids, all of the students,
you'd imagine so. You'd hope
on their front field.
That would be their lunchtime. So you'd imagine, hopefully the teachers will let them out for that. But Marlborough Boys look very strong this year, don't they?
Yes. As we've talked about, it's a lot of year 13s returning, and it is a well-coached team, and I think they'll get they'll have a very good game against Shirley Boys High.
I think they'll get the rub of the green there by the sounds of it.
Yeah, I think so. I'm just liking Marlborough Boys' prospects this year.
So it's going to be the big clash coming up between Nelson and Marlborough. That'll be the big game, won't it?
Certainly.
Saturday, 11:00, and Nelson College travel away to St Thomas's, and that is at the college ground in Canterbury.
Yeah, so this is a good test, isn't it? How this side of some 13s, but mainly year 12s and year 11s, how they will grow and kick into their campaign. St Thomas, always a very good school. They're one of those interesting schools where they play both rugby and rugby league. So this will be a good outcome, but I do believe Nelson College will win this.
Yeah, I think by the looks of it, travelling quite well. And on the same day, on the Saturday, 11 o'clock kickoff, Waimea combined take on Christ College.
Yeah, also in Christchurch.
And that's their second 11, by the way.
Second
Christ College
15,
second,
yes, mate.
15, sorry.
Yep, I think that, again, the same for Nelson College. This is a good test for the Waimea combined side, their first away game on the back of a win. And Christ College second 15 are never, ever a bad side.
It's a good rugby school, isn't it?
Yes,
so
it is.
It's going to be very tough. Super Rugby Pacific, and let's look at the results from last weekend. The Blues, well, yeah, always tough in Fiji, but they obviously were well prepared for that game, 34-5 over the Fijian Drua. The Waratahs, 21-28, Queensland Reds just getting over the Waratahs. I didn't see the game, but it looks like as though that's pretty tight.
Yeah, so with those first two games, the Blues did enough to win without, breaking loose. They played a very tight game, Vern Cotter style rugby, just getting into type.
Which you basically have to against Fiji, probably.
Yep, and it was in Suva, and it was, hot and humid. But they did the basics right, and they got. I think they went over there just saying, "Let's score 5 tries and get a win and get the bonus points." So they did that. Mission accomplished. Bowden Barrett at times I thought looked quite good. He's a really, really interesting player when he plays first 5'8". Sometimes he does the most sublime things, and then other times you go, "What?
What's he doing that for?
What were you doing that for?"
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was a good one. And then I did watch the first half of the Waratahs Reds. It was 14 all at halftime. Then 21, I think 21-14 to the Waratahs, and then the Reds scored the last 2 tries to win the game. But again, I'm impressed by Tate McDermott, the Reds halfback. I think he's just a very, very special player.
We'll come back to the New Zealand game, but ACT Brumbies 33 over the Western Force 14. They're just starting to hit their straps now, the Brumbies, aren't they? And I thought, well, Force is always difficult to beat at home, but the Brumbies just showed their class there, getting the win.
Yeah, for mine, it cements them as the number 1 Australian team.
Yeah,
I really believe that they will secure 3rd spot. I don't know if they'll get into 2nd spot at the end of the rounds, but they are the top Aussie side, and the Force are just struggling against the better sides.
And then the big one, everyone in my household, everyone I was talking to, were picking the Crusaders, and that the Chiefs would get the loss, and it would be a different story coming to the finals. The first half was all Crusaders. Yes, an injury to Will Jordan. He had to go off, but that second half, I don't know what they talked about, what they did, just a different game. And the Chiefs did the business, 35-19.
Yeah, I think, a shout out to Estelle Uren, who
texted me
last week. She did text you. Said, I told you so.
I told you so. That's right.
So well done, Estelle. Your passion for the Chiefs shone through. You got the result, and it's your friend who's going to have to get the tattoo.
That's right. So, that's right.
Good win for her team. But yeah, it was all Crusaders in that first half, and Will Jordan. I don't know if it was him going off, but he's certainly very influential on that team, isn't he? Like, he's a vice captain, and he's such a presence at the back that when he went, and then I think they replaced Antonio Chalfoun pretty early, the big lock.
Yeah.
Things just fell off.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was, and Chiefs lifted, as you said. Whatever it was that was said to them at halftime, they were completely different.
It could have been that the forward pack just decided to knuckle down a bit more. I think that was what part of the message was, that the Chiefs needed to be more physical, and the Crusaders didn't respond. And of course, when you get the forward pack like that, then you've got a very dangerous back line, haven't you?
Yeah.
Damien McKenzie and Sean Stevenson at the back, they were pretty lethal, weren't they?
They were. McKenzie really did start running that cutter superbly in the second half. Lot to like about the Chiefs side on the back of that. I think they've got their mojo back after they had a loss the previous week. So, Yeah, the playoffs are going to be fascinating as to how these two teams and the Brumbies finish up.
So let's look at the fixtures for this weekend. On Friday, 7:05, Hurricanes versus Highlanders. That is in Wellington, but a story during the week was that Hurricanes have come down with COVID.
Is that right?
Yeah. So Hurricane players were suffering from COVID. So I don't know how that is going to affect the lineup for this weekend.
Yeah, okay.
But on paper, the Hurricanes should be doing it against the Highlanders.
Yes, at the Cape Town, I would think so.
Yeah.
That's good intel. I'll have to look at who's dropped out of that side. But the Hurricanes are a very special team. So I think they've got quality on their bench and in their squad to overcome any 2 or 3 losses of players.
So this is going to be very interesting, isn't it? Because the Crusaders after that have to pick themselves up and go to Australia to take on the Waratahs at home. And the Waratahs at home aren't exactly easy beats. Correct. I mean, they should be getting more results than they get. But at times they tip teams up at home. And this is one game potentially that could be very slippery for the Crusaders.
I agree with you. I think this is a genuine contest. If it blows out to either team, I would be very surprised. I think these guys are going to have an arm wrestle the whole day, whole evening. So yeah, it's a tough one to call. Heart says Crusaders. My head's saying maybe the Waratahs can catch them in Sydney.
Saturday, 3:35, Fijian Drua, another home game against the Western Force this time. So the Force have to do a lot of travelling. Geez, you'd back the Drua on this one, wouldn't you?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
3:35 in the afternoon at home's very, very hot, very humid, and the Force aren't travelling well. So yeah, I'll tip the Drua to get up there.
7:05, the feature match, and this is a cruncher. This one, both teams need the points. Moana Pacifica versus the Blues. It's a home match for Moana. So yeah, geez, couldn't call this one actually.
So the Moana team need to win to stay in touch with fixed spot, and the Blues, I think we're not going to see any change really in the way they're going to approach this. They'll just grind it out in their forwards and in their midfield and try and get the yards and score the 5 tries and walk away with a bonus point win. Artie Savia and his team, of course, will be going, let's play some razzle-dazzle and try and get the win to get into the 6.
So it's going to be a very good game.
I think so.
It's kind of, in a way, a derby because, Moana are pretty much based in Auckland. You're going to have a massive fan base. I think a lot of people will come out for this game, and I think it'll be a cracker.
I too hope it's going to be a big crowd.
Yeah,
and it's neat that it's on a Friday. It's 7 o'clock on a Saturday.
It's a feature match.
Lots of eyeballs.
Yeah, 9:35 our time. ACT Brumbies taking on the Queensland Reds. It is at home for the Brumbies, and two evenly matched sides, but the Brumbies just on a roll at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah. So the Reds are the other very good very good Australian team. They're in 4th spot on the table, so they'll be hoping to get an upset. But yeah, if just on a tipping point of view, I'd think the Brumbies will get up.
So the top 6, we've got the Chiefs at the top, the Brumbies in 2nd, Crusaders 3rd, the Reds in 4th, and the Blues 5th, the Hurricanes 6th, and only 2 points behind Moana Pacifica, and 2 points behind them, the Waratahs and the Force. You'd probably say Highlanders, Fiji, and Drua definitely gone. Probably the Force not travelling as well, so they're probably gone. The Waratahs, you could probably put a line there, couldn't you, Les?
Yes.
Under Moana Pacifica?
Unless they beat the Crusaders.
You wish they could.
They're back in play. If they lose, I think that's probably where you draw the line. We need the Moana Pacifica to beat the Blues to also have a crack at upsetting that 6. So at this stage, quality top 6.
Yeah.
There's 4 Kiwi teams and 2 Aussie teams. So, the natural order is coming apparent. So, looking forward to the weekend.
Yeah, it's going to be all still to play for. In the headlines, rugby, biggest stories this week, according to me, Uh, so New Zealand under 20s, they did all right. They beat South Africa 48-45 to defend their under 20 championship title.
Yeah,
a 15 try classic.
Yeah, so and I did grab the highlights package off Sky and have a look at this, and the Kiwis got a good 48 points to 30 something lead, and then the South Africans wouldn't lie down and scored some closing tries. But yes, and in the end, New Zealand were holding on with 13 men.
Oh, wow.
So, with a 3-point lead and denied the South Africans a chance to win it.
To scrape through. And, a good build-up during the tournament because they got tipped up by Aussie, didn't they? Yeah, at one point. And the under-20s in past tournaments have sometimes struggled a bit. So
yeah, second time in a row to win it. They drew against Aussie, beat Argentina, beat South Africa. They'll be delighted with the campaign.
Oh, so it was Aussie scored last to draw, was it? Not a win.
Yeah, 29-29 in that first round game. They also beat Argentina, so they would have come probably second in the comp.
Black Ferns cruised past the Wallaroos, so I did watch the match, 38-12. I thought actually Australia put up a pretty good fight, but just as the game went on, both sides were quite good on defence, but New Zealand just started to stretch them a bit. And, quite encouraging because in previous years, I think Aussie even tipped us up in, some previous matches. In fact, that's when they had the coaching change, didn't they? So this time, a lot more stable, some good rugby. And number 15, can't remember.
Her first name's Braxton. She's a hyphenated second name, and I will remember it because she's going to be around for a long time and be a star. But she's a lovely player.
Yeah.
The show and go to score one try and got another. So, 2 tries on debut, a lot to like. And also it was just some quality footy in the forward pack as well, which is where you have to be very good to win a test.
And you were talking about halfback Risipuri Lanes. I was watching the halfback, very good halfback.
Wow, Joseph.
So she, so that's going to be an interesting battle for that position. And then in comes the sevens players.
So I'm sure they're going to get a run against Canada.
I'd say so.
I would think. I haven't seen the lineup, but I think that's where the coach will give them some game time.
You'd have to.
But just by the way, Maya Joseph, that's Jamie's daughter.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
so there you go.
Good football pedigree.
Yeah.
You've got another quick bite here around bonus points. What's going on here?
So this is a little perler, and I did double check it to see if this was correct. But as a UK study shows, bonus points affected just 2.28% of Premiership rugby final standings over 25 years.
Is that right? That's 3%, less than 3%. That's an amazing
it kind of
story.
says that the teams in form are the ones that actually end up winning the leagues. But I guess the argument is that rugby got so boring and defensive at one point. The idea of the bonus point was to actually encourage scoring more points. Now, with this result, they might go back to defensive rugby again.
No, they won't change it. I remember when bonus points were introduced, it was actually the brainchild of a guy called Michael Banks, who was manager of the 1999 All Blacks, a publican from Manawatu. And because of that, to encourage people to play with and score more tries or to stay in a game to get a losing bonus point, that was the system he came up with. He got New Zealand rugby over the line, convinced them, and then the rest of the world followed. But it just amazes me that only 2.28% of games of ladders have been influenced by it.
So, so it does make you think, when you're looking at the way that you play, so it promotes attacking rugby. But, if they're now seeing that only makes a small difference, will that will people start to question that a little bit? So, interesting.
It is interesting, and no, I don't think so.
You don't?
No,
they're not going to change it.
No, I think you've got to just keep that incentive, right, to go and get the bonus point. I think that sometimes they make it difficult for spectators to understand. There's I like 4 tries, a bonus point, attacking bonus point, 7 or less, a losing bonus point. Sometimes they say, if you get within 3 tries, you've got to score another to get the bonus point. That to me is complicated, just not as simple as understanding 4 tries and you get a bonus point, which is the way New Zealand rugby operates.
Yeah. Well, and you're quite right there, because some people have no idea, what points they get out of it. So that they win, but how does that affect the table? So, but anyway, interesting. I don't know how that correlates to Australasian rugby, whether that study correlates to that. So that'll be interesting for future discussion.
Or New Zealand rugby.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Australia and
because this is a UK study, right?
It is a UK, and it's based on the Premiership,
right?
So
it might be a little bit higher percentage in New Zealand, but there's some mathematician.
Someone's going to have to do a study.
Kid who loves math and loves rugby could work this out for us.
Well, look, if the funding's there, I'm happy to put my hand up to do the study. Les, what are you looking forward to this week?
Oh, well, I'm looking back. I once again just want to commend our under-20s team for winning that championship, but doing so with a bunch of boys from the Tasman Mako. So the manager, Hugh Bainan, the medic was physio was Richie Marsden, and an analyst was Luca Roden. So they're in the team management for the Mako. And then on the playing field, Ali Udenrine, and Maloney Kanawave, and also Cooper Roberts from over in Marlborough. So we had a good presence in that.
Yeah, well, I saw a photograph of all the Tasman crew as part of that under-20 all doing the fins up, and I noticed one player who was playing on the wing do the fins up. Hadn't seen the player before, but
Kanawave, he played one game for the Mako against Otago,
right? As
did Eli Odenrine.
Right.
Let's get that right. Sorry, Mum and Dad. Odenrine.
And it's great to say to be able to notice where they're from when the fins up go up.
I always love to see that. I think it's a great salute to our region and our fans.
Yeah, fantastic. All right, good luck this weekend, Les. Are you going over the hill?
I have a weekend off rugby for the first time in a bit. So I'm going to celebrate my wedding anniversary with my wife over in Ferns Lodge.
Oh, lovely.
So no texting to get scores or anything like that. Just concentrate on having a nice time.
You'll find out on Monday.
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. A big thanks to the TF Hotel, Stan and the team. And don't forget, if you want to check out this podcast, you can catch it on MBS Talk Nelson, both on website and Facebook, Instagram. We're on Spotify, YouTube, and also you'll find it on the website, Talk Nelson Digital Radio. Don't forget, if you want to get in touch, get involved with the podcast, both as a guest or a sponsor, please do get in touch with us. That's a wrap. We'll see you next week for another edition of the Mako Rugby Roundup.
The Mako Rugby Roundup. What's on, where, and when? It's the Talk of Nelson. NBS Talk Nelson.